So you might be asking the question, how does your teaching, Roy, relate to Arthur Burt's teaching? Because Arthur talked a lot about truth, the glory, humility, and so on. A lot of your teaching is about thoughts and the mind. And it was Arthur who really introduced me to the concept of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and how what a man believed is what ruled him. And for me, when I see the Garden of Eden with the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life, um, it to me, and the concept of Adam and Eve being in the garden and being innocent, this is very much to me like the mind. Um, the mind of itself is innocent, but has a tremendous, as Arthur says, has a tremendous power, that whatever you believe, whatever you convince your mind is to be true, you will create that reality. That will happen. That is the rule. That is the power of the mind. And so once the mind thinks something, and it believes that this thought is true, even though it's a lie, the mind doesn't know it's a lie, it's innocent. So it will create that, it will cause that to happen in that person's life because they believe it in their heart. And so it is. And that's what Proverbs is saying: as a man or a woman believes in their heart, so are they, you become it. So what am I trying to say is, this is where, when Arthur would teach about the unrighteous judgment, because this is key, the unrighteous judgment is rooted in pride. It's rooted in becoming God and not realizing you're becoming God. It's rooted in knowing something, thinking, I know what's good, I know what's bad. And our whole world system run on this. Whereas true humility doesn't know anything. True humility as a heart of belief, of faith, that I know nothing, but God knows all. So anyway, so the point I'm trying to make, the relationship between pride and the teachings of the ideal, the teachings of thought, is many of these thoughts are unrighteous judgments. They're lies that we believe. And this is what's creating most of our problems in our physical body and in our world. We're believing a lie. In a very simple therapeutic method that's used, and I use it myself in the 4-question turnaround, where you're taking every thought captive. See, when you take every thought captive, you're interrogating the thought, and with the 4 questions, you're finding out, is the thought true? And I remember just not long ago, I was doing a one-to-one with someone, a girl struggling with, an alcoholic. And I remember she came in, and I asked her, she'd been doing really well. She'd been, taking care of her kids and stopped drinking. And I said, what is the thing that you're struggling with the most in your thoughts? And I remember her saying, I'm struggling with my partner's ex-girlfriend. And I said, what is the thought? And I always get them to capture the thought by writing it down, because that is the method. That is a proven method of the 4-question turnaround. So I got her to write it down, and she wrote down something. I can't remember all the details, but it was something like, my partner's ex, or whatever her name was, Miss Blogs, she is a controlling cunt, she wrote down. And um, she's greedy, and all she wants is money, and she won't leave me alone. She won't leave us alone, you know. So I started to do the method with her. So the first thing I got her to do is write it down. So that's taking every thought captive, according to our holy scriptures. The next thing is to interrogate it, find out, is it true? Because if we believe a lie, the mind doesn't know it's a lie, and it's going to create that reality. So is it true? So I took one bit at a time, and I said, is it true that your this girl is a greedy cunt and won't leave me alone? Is that true? Yes. Can you know? So that's question number one. Question number two is, can you know 100% that she is greedy and she won't leave you alone? Do you know that 100%? No, I don't know it 100%. So now we're challenging the unrighteous judgment. So question three, when you think this thought, that so-and-so is a greedy so-and-so, all she wants is our money and she won't leave us alone, how do you react? She says, it makes me angry, I get depressed, I get worried, I start drinking, I start arguing with my partner, it affects my relationship with my kids, my life doesn't function. So here, you think a thought about this person that you don't know 100% is true, and when you think that thought, you behave in this way. Is there any good reason to keep that thought? No. So now she lets that thought go. So we've captured those thoughts, and now she's letting those thoughts go. And then we do the turnaround, and this is where you find the unrighteous judgment, because Romans chapter 2 verse 1 says, you who judge do the same. So this is where the turnaround comes in. So I asked her, what would be the opposite? My partner's ex is a greedy cunt and won't leave me alone. So let's take it one bit at a time. So what would be the opposite to that? I'm a greedy cunt, you know, and then she I remember she got indignant. Me? And then she thought about it, and she said, actually, I am. Yeah, because the word she used was money grabbing. She goes, yeah, I am that person. And she said, and she started to give examples of where she was that person. So this is Romans chapter 2, verse 1. It's showing you the person you're judging, the person you're pointing the finger at. You're the guilty one, you know. And she went, wow, this is very powerful. And then the next part was, and she won't leave me alone. And so what would be the opposite to that? I won't leave her alone. So she got confused. She says, what do you mean I won't leave her alone? I said, where are your thoughts every day? Oh, they're all about her. Your mind is not leaving her alone. She saw it. And I remember she went out the office so free and so happy. I remember her on the way out saying to the reception that was an amazing session. And I've seen this a lot of time using, I mean, these are therapeutic methods, but these are all our scriptures. These are, you know, these are being used in the world, and much of your best psychology is our scriptures being used. I don't think they know it's our scriptures, but I know our scriptures, and I can see very clearly. So Arthur really taught us about unrighteous judgment and going into the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and believing these lies, and how this pride will cause our lives to fall apart, and how finding truth by seeing my unrighteous judgment by seeing my pride, by seeing how I've judged others, how that would set me free, and how I would humble myself, and how this would give God glory. So this is how, if you're wondering how the teachings that I bring about thought and how it relates to addiction and different things like that, and depression and all these things, this is how it relates to Arthur Burt teaching. Arthur Burt was really the springboard, and is the springboard on nearly everything that I teach. He was the pioneer in this.